You guys ready? Okay, everybody, I think we're ready. Good afternoon, or I guess we're moving into the evening now. Welcome to the 20th initiation ceremony of the MUSC chapter of Phi Lambda Sigma, the Pharmacy Leadership Society. I'd like to give a special welcome to anyone, faculty or staff or friends and family who are joining us on the live stream tonight. We appreciate you being here and hope we don't have any technical difficulties. My name is Kathy Worrell, and I serve as the faculty advisor for the chapter here, the Beta Chi chapter of Phi Lambda Sigma. I'm just going to briefly tell you a little bit about the organization. The mission of Phi Lambda Sigma is to support pharmacy leadership commitment by recognizing leaders and fostering leadership development. Members of Phi Lambda Sigma are selected by peer recognition, including collegiate, faculty, alumni, and honorary members. Prospective members are nominated based on their demonstration of dedication, service, leadership, and the advancement of pharmacy. So as we prepare to start our initiation ceremony, if you have a cell phone, please make sure it is turned to silent or vibrate. I will do that myself. And if we're ready, we will get started. Emily? When the initiates come in, if all the members can stand, please, you'll be standing through the ceremony like we normally do, okay?
Madam President, I present the following members for initiation into Phi Lambda Sigma. Amanda Everett, Maddie Hutz, Case Houston, Ifeoma Christy Okonkwo, Matesh Patel. Hillary Ann Reeves.
Each of you has been tapped for membership in Phi Lambda Sigma because of the outstanding qualities of leadership and service which you have demonstrated in the profession of pharmacy. And because we believe that you have the moral character, the ethical standards, and the leadership ability to advance pharmacy to the highest level.
Phi Lambda Sigma is the Pharmacy Leadership Society. Our goal is to recognize outstanding leaders directly in or in support of our profession. The symbol of the society is the key, which you are about to receive. It bears a mortal and pestle, long recognized as the symbol of the ethical pharmacy.
The mortar and pestle, which bears the letters of Phi Lambda Sigma, is surrounded by a wreath of laurel, symbols of leadership and wisdom. The date of our founding, 1965, appears below the mortar and pestle. Our colors are green and gold, green symbolizing strength and gold symbolizing fitness of character.
As we of Phi Lambda Sigma have done before you, so are you required to take the following oath. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name. Do solemnly promise to uphold the standards and ideals of Phi Lambda Sigma, to work for the advancement of pharmacy through leadership and service, and to practice the duties of my profession with dignity, knowledge, ethics, and a genuine concern for the well-being of those I serve. Thank you. Please remain standing.
Madam President, I present the following members for membership into the Phi Lambda Sigma. Catherine Woodliff Barwick.
Bethany Burnett, Lyric Hygieia Kaplan, Hannah Lee Henson, Alyssa Maropa, Coleman Parler, Sarah Taylor,
Each of you has been tapped for membership in Phi Lambda Sigma because of the outstanding qualities of leadership and service which you have demonstrated in the profession of pharmacy. And because we believe that you have the moral character, the ethical standards, and the leadership ability to advance pharmacy to the highest level.
Phi Lambda Sigma is the Pharmacy Leadership Society. Our goal is to recognize outstanding leaders directly in or in support of our profession. The symbol of the society is the key, which you are about to receive. It bears a moral pestle, long recognized as the symbol of the ethical pharmacist.
The mortar and pestle, which bears the letters of Phi Lambda Sigma, is surrounded by a wreath of laurel, symbolic of leadership and wisdom. The date of our founding, 1965, appears below the mortar and pestle. Our colors are green and gold. Green symbolizing strength and gold symbolizing fitness of character.
As we of Phi Lambda Sigma have done before you, so are you required to take the following oath. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name, do solemnly promise
Do solemnly promise
to uphold the standards and ideals
to uphold the standards and ideals
of Phi Lambda Sigma,
of Phi Lambda Sigma,
to work for the advancement of pharmacy
to work for the advancement of pharmacy
through leadership and service,
through leadership and service,
and to practice the duties of my profession
and to practice the duties of my profession
with dignity, knowledge, ethics,
with dignity, knowledge, ethics,
and a genuine concern
and a genuine concern
for the well-being of those I serve.
for the well-being of those I serve.
Thank you. Please remain standing.
Madam President, I present the following members for initiation. Josh Logger. And Nick Silvestri.
Each of you has been tapped for membership in Phi Lambda Sigma because of the outstanding qualities of leadership and service which you have demonstrated in the profession of pharmacy. And because we believe that you have the moral character, the ethical standards, and the leadership ability to advance pharmacy to the highest level.
Phi Lambda Sigma is the Pharmacy Leadership Society. Our goal is to recognize outstanding leaders directly in or in support of our profession. The symbol of the society is the key, which you are about to receive. It bears a mortar and pestle, long recognized as the symbol of the ethical pharmacist.
The mortar and pestle, which bears the letters of Phi Lambda Sigma, is surrounded by a wreath of laurel, symbolic of leadership and wisdom. The date of our founding, 1965, appears below the mortar and pestle. Our colors are green and gold, green symbolizing strength and gold symbolizing fineness of character.
As we of Phi Lambda Sigma have done before you, so are you required to take the following oath. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Josh Logger,
do solemnly promise
do solemnly promise
to uphold the standards and ideals
to uphold the standards and ideals
of Phi Lambda Sigma,
of Phi Lambda Sigma,
to work for the advancement of pharmacy
to work for the advancement of pharmacy
through leadership and service,
through leadership and service,
and to practice the duties of my profession
to practice the duties of my profession
with dignity, knowledge, ethics,
with dignity, knowledge, ethics,
and a genuine concern
and a genuine concern
for the well-being of those I serve.
for the well-being of those I serve.
Thank you. Please remain standing.
Madam President, I present the following member to you for initiation into Phi Lambda Sigma. Dr. Shay Manigo.
Each of you has been tapped for membership in Phi Lambda Sigma because of the outstanding qualities of leadership and service which you have demonstrated in the profession of pharmacy. And because we believe that you have the moral character, the ethical standards, and the leadership ability to advance pharmacy to the highest level.
Phi Lambda Sigma is the Pharmacy Leadership Society. Our goal is to recognize outstanding leaders directly in or in support of our profession. The symbol of this society is the key, which you are about to receive. It bears a mortar and pestle, long recognized as a symbol of the ethical pharmacist.
The mortar and pestle, which bears the letters of Phi Lambda Sigma, is surrounded by a wreath of laurel, symbolic of leadership and wisdom. The date of our founding, 1965, appears below the mortar and pestle. Our colors are green and gold. Green symbolizing strength and gold symbolizing fineness of character.
As we of Phi Lambda Sigma have done before you, so are you required to take the following oath. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Shay Manigo,
do solemnly promise
do solemnly promise
to uphold the standards and ideals
to uphold the standards and ideals
of Phi Lambda Sigma,
of Phi Lambda Sigma,
to work for the advancement of pharmacy
to work for the advancement of pharmacy
through leadership and service,
through leadership and service,
and to practice the duties of my profession
and to practice the duties of my profession
with dignity, knowledge, ethics,
with dignity, knowledge, ethics,
and a genuine concern
and the genuine concern
for the well-being of those I serve.
for the well-being of those I serve.
Thank you. Just as the lighting of many candles from one does not diminish the light from the initial flame, so too adding other leaders to our membership does not diminish, but rather strengthens the existing members so that together we can strengthen and shed light on our profession. As members of Phi Lambda Sigma, you are expected to uphold the high standards of our society and our profession in your own work. Further, you are expected to dedicate yourselves to the further advancement of pharmacy through exemplary leadership, character, encouragement, and achievement. I now declare you duly initiated into Phi Lambda Sigma. Congratulations.
Congratulations, everybody.
Robert, you can bring the lights up.
Oh, no.
See, not the only one.
Sorry. I'm a disappointment. Oh, yours? You gave her the picture.
Yeah. Blow 'em out.
Now blow out your candles, sorry.
Or you can be like me.
Thank you again, everyone, and congratulations to our new initiates. I'll give everyone a bit of time to settle down before we have our keynote speech. I'd like to welcome Dr. Sharon Castle. She will be our keynote speaker today. She'll be discussing all things leadership, and we are so thankful to have you here. A little bit about Dr. Castle. She is the Chief of Pharmacy Service and the PGY2 Pharmacy Administrative Residency Director at the Ralph H. Johnson VA Medical Center. Dr. Castle received her Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of Kentucky, and Dr. Worrell made me say this, is an avid Wildcats fan. She has been serving in leadership roles within the VA system for 25 of her 27 years as a pharmacist. We are looking forward to hearing her perspectives on leadership today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Castle.
Am I allowed to demask since I'm far enough away? Okay. So I really consider this an honor to be with you today, and congratulations to all of you inducted. It's really representative of your character and the leadership you've shown in pharmacy school for you to be inducted into this society. So congratulations to you. Trying to get acclimated here. So when Sarah and Dr. Worrell asked me to speak at this, I said, what do you want me to talk about? You know, is there something you want me to focus on? And I got a laundry list of different things related to, you know, my leadership over the years and the pandemic and leading through the pandemic. So I've tried to incorporate a little bit into this discussion today. And I want to start a little bit just talking about what is leadership. And if there's one thing that you take home from this today, I want you to take home that anyone, anywhere can make a positive difference. And you don't necessarily have to be in a dean role or in a director of pharmacy role. Your leadership's going to show in any position that you're in if you choose to be a leader. There's a couple of other quotes that I have on here. One of them is actually attributed to Dolly Parton. If your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and be more, you're an excellent leader. And Jim Collins, he wrote the book Good to Great, which is a very good book if you all are looking for leadership type books. He says, true leadership has people who follow them when they have the freedom not to. And then the last one was one of our previous presidents. One voice can change a room. So my point here is no matter what position you're in, you can be a leader. So please don't forget that. So leadership early in your career. And so I want to go back just for a few minutes and tell you a little bit about my career. I, as they say, went to the University of Kentucky. At the time I was graduating, you didn't have to do a residency really. I mean, you still don't, but a lot of people do these days. And so I went straight out of school and went to the VA Medical Center in Huntington, West Virginia. And I started my background as an infectious disease pharmacist. And I basically did all inpatient clinical work. And at the time, this was a 200-bed hospital. So I was rounding in the ICU and on medicine teams and doing all the antimicrobial stewardship for the hospital. I was lucky enough at that time to have pharmacy leadership who let me be independent. So I was able to kind of create my own way at the facility, and I was able to build relationships. And at that time, I grew more into learning what everybody was doing at the hospital, talking with the physicians, learning where my leadership in the pharmacy wanted the pharmacy to go. And I was lucky enough when the clinical coordinator left that I was in a position to take over. And in one of the stories I tell with this is there was another person hired right at the same time as me. And I was just a little more assertive. I don't want to say aggressive, but assertive. And it made a difference because, and now, ironically, since I moved down here as the director of pharmacy, Chris is now the director of pharmacy there. And I don't think she would get mad at me telling this story, but the difference between the two of us was a little bit of that assertiveness, me being willing to step in and show when our clinical coordinator left that I wanted that position. And I wanted to be the residency program director, and I wanted to be the clinical coordinator. So I think that's, one of the things I want you all to think about it as you go forward in your career. And on the flip side of that, after I became the clinical coordinator, residency program director, I love that job. I was clinically based, and the chief of pharmacy left. And I was the acting chief of pharmacy, and I was the acting chief of pharmacy for months. And they tried to hire a chief of pharmacy, and I was very young. I was only 29 at the time. And then at the age of 30, I was told, Sharon, you need to be the chief of pharmacy. And I said, I don't want to be the chief of pharmacy. I want to be the clinical coordinator. I love my clinical work. And so we had some back and forth on that. And I like to joke and say, well, I guess maybe they knew better than I did what I needed to do because I became the chief of pharmacy. And honestly, it's the right role for me. And I was lucky that I had leadership that believed in me. And it really helped me kind of take off into a situation in the VA where, as a young person, where I have plenty of energy, and that I was able to really get in a position where I could get very involved at even higher levels within the VA. And as I transitioned to Charleston as the director of pharmacy here, I wanted a little bigger role, and it really worked out because I was able to get more exposure and to grow my leadership role nationally within the VA after I got to Charleston. And the great part about coming to Charleston, they were supportive of me developing an administrative residency, because as I reflect on my time as over my career, because I'm at 27 years now, one of the things that I love the most in my leadership role is the mentoring of the residents. I love mentoring students. When I was in Huntington, I probably, over my limited time there, I probably had 200 students. I took a student every month. I would have been Kathy and Kathy's like favorite preceptor because I loved having students. I wanted somebody there. And just watching people like you grow and go into positions of leadership or clinical positions was really important to me. And I tell you this because all these things I'm mentioning are different ways you can be leaders. And so you've got to find what's right for you. So what can you learn from this story? So early in your career, I tell you, take advantage of opportunities. So I had an opportunity when the clinical coordinator left, and I took advantage of that. The take risk part is I was taking a real risk when I accepted the chief's job because I didn't know what I was doing. We had, talk about challenges and failures, because as leaders, you're going to have failures. I mean, we had the inspector general come in to inspect our controlled substance program. Like the first year I was chief, I didn't even know there was a handbook that told you what was in the controlled substance, like what you had to do. And I'm sitting down with this lady. She's there 5 days, 8 hours inspecting our whole program. And we actually had a pretty good program, but she had a lot of problems with it. The VA has very complex rules for controlled substances, but I developed a relationship with her actually, and she was easy on us because of that. And she actually would call me later because she didn't know, she was an administrative person. She wasn't a pharmacist. So she would call me when she was at other sites to work things out. So one of the things I didn't put on here is one of the things you can learn from my story is make relationships with your physicians, make relationships with your pharmacy leadership, wherever you end up as a resident or whether you end up as your job when you get out. So make sure that you're really thinking about how you do that because it's important. And I'm not even following my notes at this point, but one thing I want to tell you that's really, really important, especially right now during the pandemic, don't let the mask and the social distancing keep you from, as you go out on rotations, I know some of y'all are starting to rotate, don't let it keep you from making relationships with your preceptors. Don't let it keep you from going in and talking. We had some, I won't get into the whole story, but we've had some situations at the hospital this year where, certain people maybe haven't felt like they've got enough mentoring and coaching and things. And, I give them the example of my admin resident, she just knocks on the door and plops down in the seat and says, I need to talk to you. And I usually meet with her quarterly, but she said, I want to come in and meet monthly. And so don't let the fact that all of this is going on in the pandemic keep you from meeting with people and asking for time, even if it's over Zoom. Maybe some preceptors have other things going on that they are worried about the social distancing and thing, but try to build those relationships because it's really important for you going forward. You learn so much from talking to people. Other things that you can learn from my story, contribute to the mission. Don't forget everybody, all the places that you're going to go work are going to have a mission and a vision and the things that they've got to do. And you're going to have your own job and you've got to do your own job, but be mindful of what the mission is and be mindful of the things that's important to your boss and important to the medical center and integrate the things you're doing with those things. It doesn't mean you have to go work double and do everything that they want you to do, plus your responsibilities. But there's little ways you can integrate things and show that you see what's important to them as well. And, you might be working on a project that you can help, and you can kind of put some things in that will help go with that mission. Build your own vision in alignment with your organization and superiors, very similar to what I'm talking about. And being assertive. And again, there's appropriately assertive. There's a difference between assertive and aggressive. So what are some of the leadership qualities that I would suggest? And I'll be honest, I stole this. There's a gentleman, Patrick Lencioni, that he writes a lot of great leadership books and a lot of even just teamwork books and things. If you've not ever listened to him talk or read any of it, his books are like fables. So they like tell a story. So I'm not as much into that type of leadership book reading, but he's got some great podcasts and some great YouTube videos about how to be a team player and things like that. But one of the things he talks about is the 3 qualities of humble, hungry, and smart. And so when I think about you all as leaders, being humble, having self-awareness, being open, be vulnerable, be transparent. One of the quotes that I love that comes up a lot when you talk about humility is C.S. Lewis quote of humility isn't thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But as far as hungry go, take on those additional responsibilities. I'm not saying work yourself to death. I'm saying, when you see opportunities, when you see things you're interested in, and this goes for when you're on rotations as well as when you're doing your residency, take advantage of that, because you never know when those opportunities are going to turn into other opportunities for you, or are going to, as a student, they're going to impress somebody and you get that residency that you wanted. So, don't shy away from taking on things, especially things that you find, wow, that'd be really interesting to do. As far as hungry, being self-motivated and having that intrinsic motivation is really important, like what drives you. And I think when you're talking about intrinsic motivation, it means taking on things that you get excited about. It's not volunteering for everything that comes your way because you think that's going to impress somebody. It's doing the things that you think, this is really cool and I want to get involved with this. Having a sense of urgency, as a leader, I think this is probably one of my flaws is I always have a sense of urgency. I always want to improve things. And I think sometimes that can, stress my staff out, or they think, gosh, she never stops, or she always says it's not better. And that's, I think they're learning to live with me, but, you do have to balance that and understand the importance of not creating stress when you're always wanting to do things. Being courageous. I mean, that was a little bit, we talked about having strength in your induction ceremony as you took your oath. And so having a little bit of courage to go out there and take risks. And then smart, I did add here, smart doesn't mean smart up here. Smart means having good interpersonal abilities and being able to interact with people on a daily basis and listening instead of talking sometimes, and asking questions and having that emotional intelligence to know, I shouldn't have said that today. I need to go maybe apologize to that person or talk through this. So that's what smart means in this situation. So let's talk about challenges. And so I want to talk for just a minute about the pandemic and the challenges that we faced. So first, people ask me all the time, gosh, has it been hard being a leader during the pandemic? And I basically say, well, I've got such a great group of people that I work with and that work for me. It hasn't been that hard. And I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but sometimes it's a lot easier to be a good leader when you've got great staff. And I've just been so proud of how we've handled things at the hospital. One of the things that I learned really quickly is I had to communicate literally every day. And for probably the first 2 months, I sent out an email every day, just telling people what was going on. Because at the time, and everybody here knows this because we've seen the rules change over the year, we didn't know the answers. But so we were kind of making, our leadership of the hospital was making it up as they went along, just like everybody else was. And sometimes people had other ideas of how it should be. So just trying to communicate and be very transparent. Look, this is why this decision was made. And I know that it might not be the right decision, and we won't know that because hindsight's 2020, but ultimately we'll figure that out. But we've got to stand behind the decision that was made. But really being transparent in my communication, I think helped. I did get some really good feedback that, the daily emails and trying to communicate was really important to people. So I think that really helped us. I think one of the big things that has been such a great thing for our profession, it's not been easy, is taking such an active role in the vaccine. As pharmacists, we've been very, very involved. Sarah wonders why I wasn't writing her back sometimes on emails. I knew I was going to be here, but it's been busy. But the leadership of the hospital really appreciates the active role that pharmacy's taken, not just in, drawing up some vaccine, but really we've taken probably the most active role in planning our events, making sure there's handouts about COVID, the myths that need to be busted and everything. We've really taken an active role, and it's not necessarily been that way at every VA. I see other places where it's nursing doing that or emergency managers. So that's one of the things that we're really proud of. And that's another great example of things. When it's time for pharmacy to shine, don't be afraid to jump in there and do it. So as we talk, that's all I'm really going to talk about pandemic wise, just a few things. But what I really want to talk to you all about is what are the challenges you're going to face as you move forward in a profession and as a leader. So what I wanted to just go over briefly, I have my own opinions, and I was hoping when I looked at ASHP, APHA, and ACCP, they would agree with me, and they did. So I was really happy. So I looked at their strategic plans, and I didn't write down everything, but I picked out like the top 5. And you can see on the top row, all 3 of them pretty much agree that driving medication optimization, APHA says being a medication expert, safety optimization, ACCP, same thing, optimization. ASHP has enhanced the roles of pharmacists as providers, recognition of pharmacists as providers, and the ACCP says provide direct patient care, which is the equivalent there. Advancing pharmacy practice, transform the role of a pharmacist, and advancing roles. And then ASHP talks about preparing the workforce. So that's preparing you education wise. APHA has focused a lot on well-being and resilience. And then ACCP had some participating research in there. So as we talk about this is really important for you all going forward, because you need to know what your challenges are. And I pull this up because I think it relates a lot to, are we going to be providers? When are they finally going to give us provider status so we can bill for our services? And how are we going to advance our roles? And I know Dr. Hall and Kathy and everyone probably talk about this a lot in preparing you all in pharmacy school. But one of the things I want to talk about is, what's value mean? What's value in healthcare? I mean, we all know that quality is the most important thing. We don't want to have bad outcomes. We want the patient to have good outcomes. But a lot of times the patient doesn't understand the intricacies of the outcomes as much as they care about, did I get good service? Was I able to get in timely to get my hernia repaired? And so when you start talking about value, you've got that quality, you've got the service, you've got the access, and then you've got a cost to it. So how do we as a profession really look at how are we going to prove that pharmacists can provide valuable services at the right cost? How do we prove that when you see that diabetic patient and the A1C drops from 10 to 7.2, that you've made enough of an impact that it's worth paying you for that? And I think that's where ACCP, when they talk, that last block where they talk about research, that's some of the stuff we're doing good on it as pharmacists, but I don't think we're doing good enough at showcasing what we do. And so, I challenge you all, this could be a whole nother lecture, but I really challenge you all to think about these things as you move forward, as you go into your residency. How are we going to advance the roles to have more pharmacists involved in medication optimization? How do we prove the value of our services? How do we make sure that when we're doing the services, the patients are satisfied? What role do you have in that, measuring the patient satisfaction? How can you help? One of the big things we've done in the VA to actually improve our or expand our services is like in rheumatology, for example, the rheumatology physicians, they have to monitor medication. So people will be coming back to their clinic just to monitor meds. So we say, hey, if you'll give us a pharmacist, they'll do your med monitoring. So instead of you having to see them quarterly, the pharmacist can see them in between your visits, and you may only have to see them once or twice a year. But then the pharmacist can come to you if there's some significant problem. And we've been very successful with proving that model because we're a lot cheaper than a rheumatologist. We've done that with neurology. We've done that with a lot of our specialty services. So that's just an example of ways as leaders. And again, you don't have to be the chief of pharmacy to think of that. You can be another pharmacist that's just working at the hospital where you see there's a problem and bring that up and say, well, here's how we could prove this. And here's how we could show that we're worth the value. But I think the last point I'll make in all this is when it comes to this, we've got to be really mindful that there are nurse practitioners and there are physician assistants. So you have to figure out a way that you see what the pharmacist role is and really play that up of why they would be a better fit than maybe those other professions. So where do we need your leadership? We need you leading change. So we just talked about some of the change our profession needs. We want to advance our profession. We want to get technicians more involved because the more technicians can do some of the things we're doing, the more we can then take the pharmacists that we have and spread them out and expand their roles. What will you do to help people lead this change? What are you specifically going to do? As far as leading people, how are you going to inspire people? And the other big thing is how do we get the right people in our profession? The people that want to do the right thing and wants to do all these things to advance our profession. I talk about the business acumen. We've already talked about the quality and the service and the access, and then drive results, how are you going to measure your outcomes? How are you going to show people what the outcomes are of the work you're doing? And how can we do that better as a profession to show, hey, we're really making a difference here, whether it be in a retail setting, in a hospital setting, or at the VA, we have ambulatory settings as well. I promise my slides looked better than this. I don't know if it's something with this or if it's because I made them on a Mac and now I don't know. But so questions to ask yourself. So this is something I ask you is, what's your motive? You know, when you're really thinking about, I want to be a leader. Why do you want to be a leader? And you all have probably heard servant leadership, that term. Servant leadership is about others and reward-based leadership is about you. And you've really got to ask yourself, where do I sit in this? Because if it's about you, taking that next step, or it's, you know, I want to do this residency and I want to end up in 2 years being clinical coordinator, and then I want to be a director because it's about my status or something like that, then you're not always going to be successful. Your heart has to be in the right place, that you're wanting to lead your people and lead the profession, and you can have a little, I don't want to say you can't have a little ambition or anything like that, but don't lose sight, because sometimes you can lose sight of really why you're here, and that can take you kind of down the wrong path. So I'm wrapping up. As you continue your journey of lifelong learning, I've already talked a little bit about this, but self-awareness is really important. And I'll go ahead and give the other Dr. Worrell. I know probably a lot of you all know Tom. He's here. He's one of my pharmacists. And Tom, I had this in the speech before I knew you were going to be here. So, you know, we have preceptor developments at our hospital. And one of the things that Tom did one, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, and he told a lot of the preceptors, you know, tell your students when they're driving home every day from rotation, think about what went well, think about what you could do better, and to have the student think about that, and then come in and talk about it if you want to. And that really makes the student think. But I'm telling you, that is not something just for students. That is for all of us every day. And I'm not telling you to be hard on yourself, which we all can do sometimes, but go home and think, what could I have done better today? And don't blind yourself to that. I mean, every day I go home and say, wow, I wish I would have handled that one better. So don't, you know, and try to learn from it. And don't be afraid to even talk to other people about how could I do this differently and learn and grow, especially at the stage you're in. Ask for feedback, create a personal development plan with specific goals and timelines. I really encourage you all, even, you know, wherever you go, get your board certification as soon as you can out of your residency. Don't let that pass. Even if you want to go into administrative roles, keeping that clinical background and knowledge is very important. I mean, every day I still do stuff with pain management. I still do a lot of things that keeps me clinically active. So don't lose that. Don't ever get away from that, because you'll have so much more respect if you can still talk the talk. Find mentors. It's very important for you to have mentors, or at least one mentor that can teach you about, you know, different paths, or just to kind of walk you through growth. Get involved with things that excite you. And the biggest thing I can tell you is have fun. If you love your work, you know, it will make it a lot easier to work 8 to 10 hours the rest of your life. So please try to enjoy it. So I'll end with this little Tibetan saying. It's a Tashi Delay, and it's says, I honor the greatness in you. They use that as a greeting. And it's just how I want to end, to tell you all that each and every one of you that was inducted today has unique qualities that really need to be celebrated. And as you go forward as a leader, don't forget that everybody that you're working with or everybody that you're supervising, they've got great unique qualities, and try to bring all of those important qualities out as you go forward. So congratulations again, and good luck in your careers, and thank you for having me.
See. You good? Okay. All right. Yes, okay. So thank you so much, Dr. Castle, for being here. We really appreciate that you were able to come out even during times like these where nothing is for certain. So thank you so much for your time and effort and sharing your thoughts today with us. Now I want to ask Dr. Worrell and Dr. Hall to join us on the stage for the awards ceremony. And while they're making their way up to the stage, Emily, Drew, Amy, and I, we want to thank our advisor, Dr. Worrell, just for providing us with the opportunity to lead our Beta Chi chapter. I do want to say something really short, Dr. Worrell. You know, the one thing that I know that I love about Dr. Worrell, and I know the other girls do as well, is how you know, you're supposed to be our advisor and lead us, but you also make everything a team effort. And I really have learned so much from you about leadership and how to be on a team as a team player. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I don't want to smash them. All right. Again, thank you guys so much. It's really a pleasure. Has been a pleasure to work with you guys. So we're going to wrap up tonight with some awards and recognitions, and I've got Vanna here to help me out. So we're going to start by recognizing the executive committee. So when I call your name, if you'll please come up, and Dr. Hall has, and I think they're in order. All right, so our president, Sarah Wyatt. Our Vice President, Emily Van Horn Overly. Drew did double duty for us this year. She was secretary and historian. And finally, our treasurer, Amy Ackershuk. If you guys can hang tight up there, I want to brag on you a little bit because these ladies have done an excellent job this year. COVID has certainly had its challenges, but we were able to find some new ways to get some things done this year. We did a lot of different virtual things. We started out with who I would consider a motivational leader. We had Anton Gunn come and talk to the chapter, kind of kicking off the fall semester, talking about leadership in healthcare as we were in the political craziness of the fall semester. So that was great. We had the opportunity to recognize our current second-year students for all the great leadership that they did during their first year. We do a leadership recognition ceremony every year at the beginning of the semester. We hosted a couple of virtual programs that I think were very well attended. One was, normally we do how to work a room. So this year we did how to work a virtual room with everybody having to do all this stuff virtually that they've never done before. And we also worked on our digital footprints, had people working on LinkedIn and things like that to try and help them out with that. Sarah, I just want to give some individual kudos to everybody. Sarah led up our leadership challenge grant submission, which was no small feat. I don't think she's ever dipped her toes in advocacy efforts before. So she got a good team behind her and submitted a grant proposal in partnership with some folks from ASP as well. So we'll be hearing about that this summer. Drew spearheaded our second annual book club, I guess you would say, and we went through the book called Switch, How to Change Things When Change is Hard, which was a really interesting book. We went through that over 3 sessions. Wanted to brag on Amy just for helping us with our annual leadership conference. It's a big undertaking, and she managed our registration platform and all the payments and everything for that. We did do that virtually this year, which we were a little concerned about, and we ended up with 170 attendees, which I was thrilled with. And it actually was one of the best programs we've ever had, I think. We broke out into small groups a whole lot during that program, and it just went really great. And then finally, I want to recognize Emily for all her work with recruiting our great new members that we have with us today, and just all the planning for membership selection and the ceremony tonight. So thank all of you for all your efforts this year, and we wish you well as you move on and start your rotations. Yay. All right, next we're going to recognize our Leader Academy facilitators. So those are the next, those little things. So each year our Phi Lambda Sigma chapter is very involved with our Leadership Academy, and this is a co-curricular program for our first and second year students. And many of our third and fourth year students and our residents who are Phi Lambda Sigma members that are now alumni members help out with the small group facilitation for the P2 class. So I want to recognize all of our small group facilitators that are here with us tonight. And we just have a small token of our appreciation for you guys. So please come up when I call your name. Amy Ackershuk, Zachary Crane, Landon Johnson, Emily Van Horn Overly. Is Kiana still here? Yes, good. I thought I saw you leave there a little bit ago. Kiana Ross, Drew Sauk, and Sarah Wyatt. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I skip you, Haney? I am so sorry, Haney. I sure did. Skipped right over you. Sorry, Haney. This is Haney's second year facilitating, right? Yeah. So again, thank you guys so much. They meet with their small groups every month, and hopefully have taught them all kinds of fun things with our leadership tools and things. So thank you guys so much for your efforts, especially the fourth years that took this on during the fourth year as well. It's a lot, and we really appreciate it. All right, next we're going to recognize our graduating students that are here with us this evening. Dr. Hall has your Phi Lambda Sigma cords to present to you. So don't go too far, some of you are coming right back. So our graduating members, Haney Bearcat, Zachary Crane, Tori Furry, Landon Johnson, Joshua Lager, Maura Macia, Kiana Ross, and Nick Silvestri. I don't think I missed anybody, did I? It does. It just kind of sticks in there. Sorry. So thank you all for your leadership and service over these past 4 years. We wish you well as you're going on to residencies, fellowships, jobs, wherever your paths are about to take you. So good luck and congratulations. The next thing we want to do is recognize our chapter member of the year. So each year the chapter membership selects someone, one of our student members, to recognize as the member of the year. I do want to recognize the 2 students who had the most votes on the first round of voting, and that is Haney Bearcat, who is heading back to the back, and Sarah Wyatt. They came out on top after the first vote. And then we went to the second vote after that. As I mentioned before, Sarah is Phi Lambda Sigma president, but she's also been president of the Student Government Association for the College of Pharmacy this year, so she's been a busy lady. And Haney was the chapter president for Phi Lambda Sigma last year and has been a regional liaison for the national, I guess, kind of the national office this year. So they have both done a lot of great things, and I just wanted to recognize both of them before I announce who the winner is. So join me in recognizing them. All right, and after 2 rounds of voting this year, the chapter has selected Sarah Wyatt as our chapter member of the year. And Sarah, your certificate is coming. So say the national office, but that's our perpetual plaque that stays at the college. So yes, absolutely. Congratulations. And then finally, I just wanted to mention our alumni of the year. We always select an alumni of the year each year as well. The national office kind of changed things up a little bit this year with how we do this award. And we did nominate Dr. Anthony DeClue. So Anthony, please come up. He was our chapter member, our alumni of the year. So Anthony has done a lot for this organization. He has served, he's currently serving as the national parliamentarian. He has been the National Alumni Engagement Chair. He was Speaker of the House when he was a student. And he just told me tonight that he is running for national president. So I'm very excited for him. So we will find out the results, whether you get picked or not, for I assume at the summer meeting. So, but congratulations and thank you so much for everything that you do for Phi Lambda Sigma.
Thank you.
And I think that's everything we have got for this evening. Thank you to everyone who's joined. Thank you for everyone who has joined on the live stream. We do have some cookies in the back, so please feel free. Those came from some really good bakery that Faye found. So grab those on your way out so you have a snack later tonight. And thank you again for being with us this evening. Have a great night. All right, Philip.